have the rand trading at 7 rand at the moment. It did dip down to 6.98 just a short while ago. And of course, we had news this morning that Walmart does plan to make an offer for Massmart. Do you think that has been exerting a bit of strength into the rand?
Morning, Stephen. Yes, I do think that the Massmart news has contributed to the rand's stronger opening this morning. But I think also a hangover sort of from Friday's better than expected US durable goods sales. Asian markets are up this morning. Commodity prices still strong. So the rand was headed for a strong start anyway. But I think there's some positive reaction to news that Walmart's put in an offer for Massmart, and so the rand has definitely continued to strengthen this morning.
To what extent do you think this has been priced into the currency? Because that news has been around for some time that Walmart could come into South Africa. And of course, we also know that about 75% of Massmart shareholders are foreign. So it would be quite unclear how much of that money would come into South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I mean, as I said, the rand did get off to a positive start anyway, but I think that it did strengthen after the news. So it does seem that at this point, investors are still optimistic about the anticipation of inflows into South Africa, but there isn't too much detail available on the deal, so it would be difficult to say exactly how much of the rand's reaction this morning has been due to that news.
Of course, you mentioned the durable goods numbers on Friday, and if you strip out the transport components, the number was a bit better than expected. And yet we see the dollar trading around 134.5 against the euro. So the dollar still seems to be on this weakening bias at this point.
Yes, Stephen. The dollar hasn't really reacted to what's been a string of actually positive US data lately. And I think that's mostly because investors are looking at the Fed statement and expectations of further quantitative easing. And I think that's really what's got the dollar under pressure at the moment.
And of course, that dollar under pressure has pushed the gold price above $1,300 an ounce on Friday. And I should imagine this is also quite supportive of the rand going forward.
Yes, absolutely, Stephen. It is at the moment, but we still think that the rand may struggle for some strengthening momentum this week. We have a string of local data out, inflation and the PMI, and we think that if this data alludes to a further slowdown in the economy, or if inflation continues to moderate, we saw third quarter inflation expectations moderate last week. So if all of this data combined starts to add to expectations of further monetary easing in South Africa, then we think the rand could come under a bit of pressure from a yield differential perspective.
Well, just looking at that CPI, which is due out on Wednesday, and of course we had a reading of 3.7% previously, are you expecting it to remain pretty much unchanged at those levels?
Stephen, we're expecting it to have eased slightly to 3.6% because of a petrol price cut in the month. But yes, I mean, there isn't too much of a difference between 3.7 and 3.6, I would guess.
And of course, we've got that PMI coming out towards the end of the week. Previous reading just above 50, and that was after 2 negative months. Do you think we can maintain above 50, or do you think this is still going to be quite a volatile figure?
Stephen, I think we're going to just manage to hang above the 50 level. That's our expectation. But of course, figures in the 50s don't imply that manufacturing production is increasing at the pace that we would need. So, sort of 51, 52 reading would be positive, but not greatly exciting.
Of course, we also have global PMI out later this week. We've also got the US and UK GDP final estimates. What are you expecting on that front?
Well, those are the two main risks to the currency outlook this week. As far as the GDP figures are concerned, these are final estimates, so there shouldn't be too much variation on the numbers that were reported earlier. But of course, if there are downgrades to the numbers, then that could be negative for the rand from a sentiment point of view. And as far as the PMIs go, we're expecting that the Chinese PMI, as always, is going to be of critical importance, but it seems that market expectations are for a bit of a pickup in the Chinese PMI. So as long as those expectations are met, the rand should manage to at least hold on to its gains this week. If not, then we could see quite a bit of weakness coming through towards the end of the week.